Well, let's talk about this Taurus new moon for divine counterparts. Anyone who considers themselves a twin flame, soulmate, in some sort of divine connection with a divine complement, this Taurus new moon update is going to be for you. As a quick recap, new moon's taking place over here at the 25th degree of Taurus. This new moon is receiving aspects from Jupiter, from Mars, Chiron, and Eris in Aries, Venus, receiving aspects as well from, let me just see who else was in my notes here. We see a conjunction to Mercury and Uranus, of course, as well as Ceres. A sextile to Nessus there in Pisces. And then in addition to that, we have some aspects as well to Pluto, Chariclo, very loose aspect to Pluto there. It's a loose trine. We have a square to Chariclo here as well. All of this energy really speaks to a definitive movement toward a higher version of self, a recognition of where self and self-concept must change and where it's just been compromised in the past, where we've been looking at ourselves from perspectives that actually don't have lead to good timelines. It's like have you ever had that experience watching someone interact with somebody new? And that someone new, whether you're watching this like a friend come in for one of your kids, or a new boyfriend or girlfriend or love interest for a friend of yours, and you watch that person and you say, you know what? I don't know that that person thinks of you in the best ways. They don't have the highest and best intentions because they don't see you fully, truly in the highest light. This new moon is essentially like us calling us out on where we are not seeing ourselves in the highest light. And as a result, having the opportunity to take that step forward. Hi, my name is Kay Moon, and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this new moon update is going to now take a deeper dive on what's happening in Juno, the divine feminine fields, and Jupiter, the divine masculine fields, for those who consider themselves divine counterparts. If you're looking for more info about the new moon itself, check out the Lightworker energy update to understand in broad strokes how this energy is going to play out in all of our lives. Where the divine feminine sits in the sky at that 9th degree of Aquarius, we see a conjunction to Pluto, who has just now gone retrograde. This is going to be a massive step into personal power for all of us collectively in our inner divine feminine energy. Our relationship to power is what's going to indicate how this is going to feel and if we steamroll or if we step up. There's a big difference between the two. For some of us, power is an experience of just that. It's feeling capacitated, like we can do something, like we're able to act, like we're capable. For other people, power is an experience where we feel like it's constantly being taken away. People are constantly using it against us. It's something to fear. And still, for other people, power is something they don't want. They push it away. No, I don't want the capacity to do. I don't want to be able to act. I'd rather other people be able to do that. There's abdication, and then there's oppression, and then there's right use of power on the planet. What you do and what you witness others do is really going to be contingent upon their and your relationship to power. In and of itself, it's neutral, but you have to be willing to use it in order and use it wisely in order for it to have positive impact on your life. For those who find that they constantly abdicate, they look at their lives and they recognize where they waited too long to make good choices. They find that they let other people make the choices for them, and they live with a lot of regret as a result of that. This transit of Juno conjunct Pluto, she's crossed over. She'll cross back in retrograde and then cross over one last time when she goes direct before we close this year. This transit is going to help you understand the importance of not giving up your power. The experiences, I want to mentally prepare you if you refuse to use your power rightly in your own life. The experiences of 2026 may be quite uncomfortable. Consider what I just said an invitation. You can at any moment stop letting other people use their power to run your life and instead use your own power to make the decisions to have the kind of life that you want to have and empower others to do the same. Now, on the flip side, for those who have consistently run a fear-based pattern that's caused you to try to control other people, this year is where you are going to find you've hit the limits of that control, and that control attempts to backfire, or it starts to backfire, where fear has caused you to keep a tight grip on other people or what other people do or don't do. This is where you will find your worst fears begin to come true, despite your best attempts to control, making sure that they don't by maneuvering, manipulating, dictating, and directing other people's actions. You're going to get a lot of the unexpected with it. And that's going to be a direct function of Uranus in the mix as part of this conversation. Uranus can have Plutonian energies expressed in unintended ways. Pluto deals with fear. Uranus is the unexpected. We're going to come back to Uranus in a moment, but note that Juno and Pluto are in the sign that Uranus governs. So it's doubly unexpected results here. So while this unfolds, one of the things that you can do if you know that, yeah, sometimes I do get really afraid and I try too hard to curtail what is happening around me and what other people are doing. If this is you, one of the things that's really going to support you this year is some significant leaning into nervous system regulation. The Aquarian energy has ties to the nervous system, deep subconscious transformation and growth. Pluto can help you do that, help you excavate what's happening in the subconscious mind. You can work with a therapist or a coach in many cases. You can also, if you know this is you, begin to have some really open dialogue that allows you to share those fears with the people around you so that they can support you in new ways of operating. Aquarius, where these two are sitting, governs the new, the next. So, two different pathways, two different types of people. If you're already working with right use of power, you're going to find this extraordinarily empowering when it comes to your leadership in groups, on the internet, with technology, and when it comes to the experience of empowering other people, colleagues, friends, communities, you're going to find yourself a bit of a way shower at this time. Other ways that this can play out. Juno speaking to Pluto, this is really going to see, for some of us, reproductive health challenges show themselves and need immediate attention. Again, sudden and immediate because of the Uranian influence on this conversation. If you've got anything expressing in your physical health that's related to the organs connected with that sacral chakra, especially because of the way Haumea, the creation goddess, is also speaking to Juno and Pluto from the sign of reproductive health, and she deals with creativity and creation processes. If you know you've got those types of issues or that just, something feels off, please see a doctor. See a doctor quick, see a doctor immediately. That is going to go a long way in preserving your health with a transit like this, male or female body. It does not matter. This isn't about the gender. This is really about the organs. Understand that if something is showing itself, it is necessary to look at it, what's happening with this process from an astrological perspective. The sacral chakra related organs, these organs specifically deal with the seat of our creative power. And if they are expressing compromise while this transit is taking place, it's because at the cellular level, there is a step up available in your expression of spiritual power in the third dimension. If you want your computer to do a new thing, sometimes you have to download a new program. You have to change and delete files, add files, this sort of thing. It's a rough metaphor, but understand that this metaphor is essentially some of what's happening in the body. New light, new expressions of love, new expressions of divine intelligence is starting to operate in the third dimension for all of us and at the cellular level. It's going to impact different parts of the body at different times as we receive these cellular upgrades. As that happens, you may find that the body has to recalibrate. This recalibration at this time is speaking to all organs related to the reproductive health system. Okay? Hopefully, I explained that with some clarity. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll see what I can do to clarify in future lunar updates as this transit is going on for some time this year. If it needs attention, please don't hesitate or delay. Definitely see a physician, a doctor, for what you need help and support with. Okay. Also, this transit right here, Juno-Pluto, this is going to be the beginning of dealing with structural integrity issues in your life to facilitate the space for union in the third dimension. For some of you, this is money, it's jobs, it's friends and colleagues, the structure of connections on the whole, especially where there are too many people involved in your connection. Too much input going on from friends in the community. This person's right for you, this person's wrong for you. Too much input going on from mothers also. Your mother dictating your love life, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, how it should be going. She's lived her life. It's for you to live yours. You will learn your lessons in time. You're meant to be taking direction from your higher self, not another human being who also has their lessons to learn. And so you may find that this transit facilitates appropriate restructuring of those relationships where there's too much input in your marriage, in your partnership, relationship, connection. You're going to find that Juno speaking to Pluto puts you back in the seat of power. And again, if you're clinging to the structure that represses your sovereignty, this year is going to be very uncomfortable as part of an invitation for you to say yes to your sovereignty instead. Okay? The sooner you do it, the more comfortable things become. For some of you, I just want to honor and acknowledge, for a small few, this means you've got two uncomfortable choices in front of you. For example, is telling your friends or your mom to step off, which can be very difficult, very painful, But that's definitely the option here. The other uncomfortable option is letting them continue to dictate, knowing full well that it is costing you dearly. What you do with this is going to be up to you, but the price does get paid this year. So, invitation is to sovereignty, even if it's an uncomfortable transition. It does, in the fullness of time, make your life and your love life specifically much better. Okay. And again, where there's too many people involved, for some of you, this is like love triangles, love parallelograms, love star shapes, like just too many people involved. This is where a lot of that does indeed get cleaned up. Okay. Let's talk about this square to Haumea. Again, this speaks to the reproductive health stuff where you need to get it done, to see a doctor, see a specialist, see a healer. Please begin to do that. In particular, if you know that there's a linkage to some of the more challenging emotions that Scorpio can deal with, shame, guilt, regret, fear, where these emotions have been part of a constant and ongoing program in your lived reality and the way you dictate choices in partnership. You do things out of regret or avoiding regret, fear or avoiding fear, shame or avoiding shame, guilt or avoiding guilt, where your choices have run off of these emotional programs. You will find this year that the reproductive health piece shows up as a way of helping you eliminate those programs from the way you operate your divine creativity and sovereignty in the third dimension. Before it gets released, it may get loud. If that's happening, like I said, see a specialist, but also work your emotional program here with Haumea retrograde in the sign of Scorpio, water sign Scorpio. Work the emotional program to get rid of those emotions, deal with them, integrate them, allow them to come to rest and neutrality, receive their messages, and then release them. That way, you're free to live a more liberated expression of partnership in the third dimension. Okay, so we have that. Now let's take a look at this Juno sextile to Vesta, Neptune, Pallas, and Saturn over here. Here's Saturn in Aries, Pallas in Aries, Neptune in Aries, and Vesta in Aries, all spanning between the first and the 10th degree of Aries, making a sextile to Juno here. First of all, Saturn is boundaries and structures. Pallas is personal protection once it's inside of Aries. Neptune in Aries is bringing us into a higher level spiritual connection with ourselves. Now, don't get me wrong. For some, it's making them delulu about themselves, but I know that's not you. And then Vesta here has us dedicated to who we are. Because Saturn has a bit of a checking influence here on Neptune, the Delulu is at a minimum, but it can be, we can take a little detour before we land at decisive clarity around who we are in this energy. All of these speaking to Juno. This is going to allow us to become more dedicated to our spiritual growth and evolution than we've ever been. And you may have already felt this internal impetus. I've got to be a different version of myself. I've got to change. If so, you're on track. That inner push and demand is here in our divine feminine energetic fields to force us all onto a new divine feminine timeline with new divine feminine leadership that comes from a place of personal integrity and sovereignty. Where there has been dabbling in old romantic structures that are based on the type of feminine consciousness that could interface with toxic masculinity, right? I don't love to use that word, but it's good shorthand for what we saw in the old masculine constructs that are currently dying. Where there are feminine constructs of self that could only interact with masculinity, that was of that old ilk, that old program and paradigm, those feminine constructs of self are also collapsing. So the dependency program, where you don't operate like a partner, or a spouse, you operate like a dependent or a child, emotionally, mentally, they make all your decisions for you. Financially, you are not a financial partner in the mix. You are a financial dependent in the mix. Because of the way economics has changed, I've spoken about this in one of the channeled messages I had a few years back around things are changing for men on the planet, which means things are fundamentally going to be changing for women on the planet. Male identified, female identified, pick the spectrum, all of it, we all have both energies. Right now, what this is talking about is a massive restructure of divine feminine templates and what that means and what that looks like. The divine feminine frequency and template that predated 2020 and even 2000, what it looked like to be divine feminine, and what it is going to look like post 2030. Two completely different definitions of divine femininity. This moment is where collectively the template up levels. It gets destroyed, that's Pluto. It gets washed away, that's Neptune. It gets restructured, that's Saturn for the individual. And then Uranus, it's on a higher timeline. Juno is having communication with all four of these right now. And this communication, if any of you are feeling, okay, yeah, I'm in this sort of no man's land. I can't really tell. I feel like I'm in the void. I don't know what's going on for me as a divine counterpart. Did I make it up? Was it an illusion? No, it had to be real. Um, is this my counterpart? I'm not really sure. Do I even have a counterpart? Am I the counterpart? That we're in the middle of a massive rewrite right now, and that rewrite is helping all of us operate at a level of baseline freedom, no story, so that we can build a completely new story for ourselves and the planet. So it's very liberating, very empowering in that way. It is important that you don't force a conclusion here. Force a conclusion with whomever you thought the counterpart was or wasn't, force a conclusion on what the journey is or isn't, force a conclusion when it comes to the unfoldments that you're seeing in the third dimension, because all of this is showing itself in a way that is not decided, but also not but brand new. It's like the old is done, but the new hasn't fully arrived. To make a decision in this energy is actually going to guarantee that you lock into a timeline that may not be the one you want. So staying open, getting comfortable with the unknown, being present with the question mark, and then living with what's the best that can happen. That's this Uranian energy there in Gemini. If you can start to live with the question, what's the highest level that this can unfold within, you're going to find that as this transit continues to shift, you step into a brand new timeline that is more aligned with who you always knew yourself to be. And if there's a divine counterpart in the picture, you always knew they could be too. Because on the opposite side of the connection, this whole transit is integration of divine feminine energy at a much deeper level in your spiritual templates for your consciousness and your expression as well. So I love to see this for all of us collectively, but it's an undecided energy. Train has left the station. Train has not arrived at destination. The only way things are fully decided between you and your counterpart or on your path is if you decide. You decide you want to get off at a very particular destination. If you make that decision, so the universe will grant you that exit. It is up to you. But with these planets all speaking to Juno, who's up leveling the template right now, guarantee you're going to a higher timeline. Guarantee that higher timeline is going, can be something that is much better than the one you were on. As I said in the channeled messages, the season where the connection was just all about the healing and the personal growth and the evolution, that has come to closure. But if that's all you wanted out of this, sure, that's all you can have. That's fine. The universe isn't going to stop you from letting, if you're full, you don't have to keep eating. You can get up from the table. What happens from here is decided in how you interface with these energies. Okay. Um, so let's see what else is unfolding. For some of you, there are a lot of conversations that are going to change the face of the connection as well. Some of those connections have happened in the last week leading up to, this particular lunation. More of them are coming as Uranus and Mercury progress in these next few days over the course of the weekend. There's going to be a lot of shifts in communication and consciousness regarding connection. Again, my counsel is to just stay open to highest possible outcomes. And with a new moon in the sign that governs desire, make some decisions about what you want. Like the universe will grant it. Like I also really want to encourage those of you who are so on the train of the divine will be done. I, you know, absolve myself of my ego, and it's not for me to decide. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The sign of personal desire wouldn't exist as a constellation in our solar system if your expression of divine consciousness wasn't here in a body trying to experience itself. You are supposed to decide. You're supposed to want. You're supposed to have a desire. You're supposed to direct the experience. So trust your inner desires. They're the communication mechanism that if you believe in God, source, the universe, put in your heart so that it could experience itself in the third dimension. The idea that somehow having a desire in this and becoming desire for, like having a desire in this is somehow uh problematic. That's actually the ego. And I know that sounds crazy to some of you, but that you would be involved in a journey that evoked so much desire in you, only to be told that your job is to learn how to surrender your desire. It, it goes against the laws of nature set up on this particular platform called the planet Earth. It's incorrect expression of the design of this dimension. It's a distortion. So I'm not saying use your desire to control people. I'm saying know what you want so that the universe can experience itself. Like, don't cut off the way the divine is speaking to you. Okay? It's speaking to you through those desires of your heart. Because none of you here are trying to harm anyone. None of you here are trying to hurt people with those desires, though that's also a distortion. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, that we should all be out here just willy-nilly wanting things and hurting people in the process. There's a divine balance here, right? And so know what it is that you want because it's also going to help shape this transformative energy into the expression that divine will came here to experience through you. Okay? This is also why I'm teaching Manifestation Mastery. If you haven't signed up, you really should. Doors closed. Today is Friday, May 15th. I'm recording this at 10:35 a.m. Doors close in less than in like 12 hours by the time I get this up at 11:59 p.m. on Friday. If you want to learn how to work with this in conscious creator ways, then join Manifestation Mastery. We get into that, especially in class 2, where we talk about creation of love and partnership. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about the trine to the shaman's asteroid in Libra. This is opening up massive levels of personal integration and relationship lessons, both the collective's learnings and your personal ideas. That's shifting here. So you may be integrating some lessons that you didn't have to live through. Hooray! For learning something not the hard way, for having aha moments and insights that you didn't have to live through to be able to know. I love that for us. Thank you, Juno and Aquarius, for opening up our consciousness to the collective in that way. And your personal lessons may also be integrating at speed with this placement as well. It's a great thing. Can be a little bit of nostalgia in this, lots of reviewing the past. It does seem to come in at a head level. You don't have to take it hard to the heart level unless you really feel like, in order for me to never forget this, I need to feel my way through this. That's fine too. If that's how you're built, some people are built other ways, both builds. There's no flaw in either build, okay? We have a sextile to Lilith here in Sagittarius. This is another big part of what's pushing the evolution in the divine feminine energetic fields. This sextile is very unrelenting in about the divine feminine energy living whatever is true for her in Sagittarius. Having a truth, having that truth be what your life is aiming toward, and having the belief and faith that you can live that truth in the third dimension. Okay. So I love to see this. It's a very encouraging energy that especially with a Taurus new moon, that you get to have what you want. Period. Full stop. You're supposed to have it. It's part of the divine design for this lifetime for you. Again, assuming, the flip side of that coin, you're not harming anyone, right? Love doesn't harm, it heals. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So the old saying goes. Lastly, we have a little semi-sextile here to Pholus there for Juno. And what we see here is that the challenge is really clinging to old structures. That's going to be super toxic right now, especially where the old structures were already crumbling. The cost of holding on to them is going to be especially high right now. Pholus, very interesting thing. I'm going to share this as a little aside before we get to the divine masculine energy fields. That's Jupiter up here. Pholus is a centaur. His mythology speaks specifically to toxicity, poison, and compromise, collateral damage, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But what's interesting about the Pholus mythology, or about Pholus astrologically, I should say, this year I had to track it because I was looking at what is the summer program for Star Club going to be, the May, June, and July programming for Star Club. and August. And when I looked at the remainder of the new and full moons for 2026, all the way through December, out of 16, Pholus is speaking to 11 of them. That's like 75%. We need to talk about Pholus, and we need to talk about what this energy is bringing into our lives this year and why it's so important. I realized I was talking about Pholus a lot in the first, lunar updates of this year, and then I had to check it. There's a reason for it. There's a divine reason. All the new and the full moons are having a conversation with this centaur. So I'm going to be taking a deep dive on Pholus when later this year inside of Star Club. And so I put up the new, what do you call it? The new curriculum for the Star Club live events. And I wanted to make sure that you knew what they were in case you're thinking about joining. You can join Star Club at checkout when you join Manifestation Mastery. We're going to talk about, of course, Jupiter and Leo for all 12 signs, Chiron and Taurus, because that's happening this year. Um, we're also going to talk about the Juno retrograde. But then, roughly a month from today, June 13th, we're going to talk about Pholus in Capricorn and the mandate to release toxicity and how to figure out what toxicity are you personally being tasked with letting go of in connection, but also in your life, so that your life can take on this higher timeline. So, definitely encourage you to sign up for Manifestation Mastery if you have been wanting to learn more about it. You can click the link below this video. Again, registration closes tonight. So please, if you want to do this program, class starts tomorrow. You don't have to be there. We're going to talk about avoiding sabotage to your manifestation techniques, manifesting health and money. Next Saturday, we're going to talk about manifesting love and rituals and tools for your manifestation element. Not everyone is meant to be doing fire rituals. It's actually not going to serve all of us. And yeah, I'm so excited about this. You should, if you feel like you're really ready to get unstuck in life and take advantage of some of the manifestation energy in the atmosphere, join Manifestation Mastery. All right, so let's talk about the divine masculine energy. Link to join for Manifestation Mastery is just below this video. Star Club will be at checkout with Manifestation Mastery. But so if you want to wait, you can. I don't recommend it. Star Club does reopen its doors the last week of May, so you can rejoin us then. Let's talk about this Taurus new moon for the divine masculine energy. Jupiter at the 21st degree of Cancer. Everything I said in the Lightworker energy update about this new moon in Taurus is going to be especially applicable to the divine masculine energetic field. So if you haven't listened to that, I strongly recommend you do. It's going to have a lot of intel in it that's going to help you when it comes to stepping up in your life your concerning not just your manifestations, but your own identity. The divine masculine energy has been on a long journey in the sign of Cancer of coming home to some emotional clarity, emotional congruence, and emotional integrity. And this has meant a restructuring of the relationships to women in our lives. This restructuring is concluded. We are done with that retrograde. Um, but in this final little leg of wrap up, we do see this new moon speaking to, hey, value yourself at this time. Jupiter's coming into final communication there with Pholus, who's there at the 12th degree of Capricorn. This will be the last touch to Pholus this year for the divine masculine energies. But the lesson here has been, hey, If it's old patterning around the way you deal with your emotions, it's toxic. You can't keep dealing with stuff that way. If there was substance use or abuse or other addictive behavior and patterning, you can't keep dealing with emotions in that way. If there were attachment styles that were learned but never worked on toward becoming secure, yeah, you can't keep dealing with your emotions by asking other people to accommodate your anxious attachment style. Your job is to grow towards secure, not ask them to accommodate your anxiety. Your job is to grow out of dismissive avoidant behavior, out of fearful avoidant behavior, not ask other people to accommodate it. And I see just a lot of people saying, I'm this way, so I need you to accommodate that. That's not what this is. In fact, that actually does more damage with the labeling by seeing and labeling people that way than inviting them into secure interactions with you. That being said, um, the toxicity of that is going to be real loud as we wrap up this new moon. And Jupiter wraps up inside of Cancer and moves toward the early degrees of Leo, where he'll have further communication. More communication with Chiron and Eris, because are we not having enough fun? More feelings of being left out, excluded, like can we just it's the inner I love how loud the planets get when they're trying to force our hand for change. Ah! Okay. This is exasperation laughter because it is really not fun to live through. I'm sure you all understand this. Um, I want to be clear, there's choices here. Some are going to leave that transit with Pholus with a lot of regret because they doubled down on the emotional patterns and attachment styles that were not working. And the universe is benevolent enough to say, oh, you need this lesson broken down into smaller pieces. No problem. We'll set it up for you. We'll set up the right people, the right relationships to see how non-working the old attachment style is, the addictive behavior or substances. We'll set it up so that you can see it in stark, like high relief, stark contrast, why you want to let go of it. If you know you're sick of the looping, this is a great new moon to make some new choices. A great new moon. And I talk about those new choices inside the Lightworker Energy Update and in depth in Star Club. So great opportunity to listen to those and find the off-ramp for the chaos. Okay, now we also see, I want to talk a little bit. Others are also going to leave having figured out what works better and already on a new timeline with new ways of doing relationship. And for some of you, because we are in a massive love transit right now with Venus floating from Uranus to Jupiter, I spoke about that at length in Star Club this week. But those of you who have already made the new choices, this is where love comes in. This is where a breakthrough in love comes in. This is where a new partner or a new way of being in partnership truly lands for you. Okay. Now we see a square to Mars, Chiron, and Eris in Aries. Sorry, not a trine, a square for Jupiter there. This is going to make us all a little touchy as we work through these choices in our divine masculine energy. Very sensitive and able to take things a little too personal. This will finally get through to those who have been ignoring feedback, whether it's feedback from other people or feedback from the universe. This touchiness is going to allow the feedback to land like, hey, maybe you should clean up this pattern because it's causing you to feel like such a victim in love. You're not a victim to your attachment style. You're not a victim to anyone else's either. Like there's so much freedom of choice here. right? We can choose something different, choose to move towards secure, right? We can choose to be free of the patterns that aren't working in partnership. Um, and for those who already do take things too personally, comme moi, this is a great opportunity to remember to breathe and know that your fellow humans are all having a time right now. Many people are feeling very sensitive right now. Grace, compassion, spaciousness, gentleness, forgiveness for yourself and others. They don't know that they're acting out and putting it on you. But if you know that you don't normally tell people, hey, this doesn't feel good, this is a good time to say, hey, this doesn't feel good. Jupiter is also trying to nessus there in Pisces. And I love this because this makes us a little OCD about our growth right now. And I think that's a good thing. Makes us a bit OCD about our spiritual evolution in the process. So that's really working in our favor. And the semi-sextile to Venus is opening up love in our divine masculine energy fields. Um, so I like this. That heart opening energy peaks around the first week of June. It's already been in play once Venus got into connection there with Uranus. It just gets better from here. This is the best time for love, all of 2026. So utilize it. Utilize it for self-love. That's Taurus, and where this new moon is taking place. Utilize it to share and express love with others. I think that's also going to be a beautiful way to work with this energy. If you heard something that resonates, definitely hit the like button. If you're new here, subscribe. I'm here at the new and full moon, breaking down the energies and what to expect, both for divine counterparts and for those who consider themselves light workers or way showers, which is literally all of us basically at this point. I'm so excited I get to do this work with you, and I can't wait to see you in Manifestation Mastery and in Star Club. Take great care, and bye for now.